Hi there, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I hope everyone's having a good a good February 8th. If you're listening to this on this exact date, joining us live. If it's not exactly February 8th, also welcome, and I hope you're having a great day. My brain is fried right now because it's audition season, and we're all just doing the best we can. And you know what? That's all you can ask for. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. After last stream, I got the chance to see the unauthorized Office parody musical off Broadway. A friend of mine is swinging the show, and he did an amazing job. So hoping to get him here on the show soon to chat about that and what that experience is like. So it was a lot of fun. Go check it out. It's off Broadway, but it's like so close. It's so close. It's right smack dab in the middle of Broadway. You can't miss it. Sorry, I'm in a chaotic mood today, but that's okay. We're here. We're ready. I was about to introduce this episode as episode 51, and I was like, that is simply not correct. This is episode 58, and I'm also double checking myself because I still feel like that was incorrect. Yep, we're here on episode 58. I can't believe we're at this far. We're almost to 60 episodes, which is also insane. And enough of my babbling because I have a fun little clip to introduce my guest before I read her bio. So let's check that out first. Amazing, amazing. My guest today is a music education major with a minor in theater at Indiana State University and is from Vincennes, Indiana. While at school, she's been in various ensembles, solo performances, and has even conducted. Last spring, she was cast in Indiana State's A Year with Frog and Toad as Toad, and recently she's been doing a lot of opera and lyric theater work as well as auditioning. This might be the guest that I have known the longest so far that I've had here on Overtures, as she and I grew up in the same hometown. The one who has been mistaken as my little sister countless times in life. This is Katie Stone.
Hi.
Hi. And of course, I had to choose that song from your voice recital because I'm like, look, if we're going to choose any song, it has to be from Shrek. That's where we really got to work together, that and Cinderella. Yep. So I was like, I have to pick it. How are you doing today? I was going to say zooming in, but joining us from your dorm room.
Yes, I made my bed just for you.
How kind of you. How sweet. How sweet. Oh my God. It's crazy, like, actually how far we go back thinking about like how old we both are now. Like, oh my gosh, we were little babies. Such little babies.
I was in middle school the first time I met you.
I know. That's insane. Because I was making notes because I'm like, I'm gonna forget otherwise. I'm like, I think the first time I actually became aware of you was when the middle school was doing The Little Mermaid, because there was this like crazy princess contest or whatever for the prince, and you had this crazy hard vocal line, and you were like this teeny tiny sixth grader, like hitting this high note, and I was like, who is this child and where did she come from? Like, that's when I first became aware of you.
Oh, that's so funny. I think I remember that. I was sitting in the house and you and I forget who it was.
Probably me and Colin.
Yeah, and you guys were like, you're really good. Like, you sang really high. How old are you? I'm like, 6th grade. And you guys were wow. I was like,
we were shook. I was shook. Yeah, that validation in that moment. But then it's fun because we actually got to work together 2 years later when I was a senior in high school and you were in 8th grade, because I was your stage manager for the RNH Cinderella production that the middle school was doing, where you played the fairy godmother. That was such a fun show. That was such a fun show.
I love that show. I'm actually there might be a chance I'm doing it again in the summer.
Ooh, that's exciting. Crossing all the fingers. Oh my gosh. You'll have to give us more details about. Oh, it definitely will. You're gonna have to give me more details as details arise and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'll be excited to see if you end up playing the same role as well.
I would be too. I hope.
And it was so much fun because I love that we got to continue to work together
Mhm.
after that process too,
Mhm.
because like we were saying, working on Shrek together because you were backstage because it was the high
Yep.
school show, but then I was on stage doing stuff. But then we also like taught together at an art camp, Art Ventures. Like we
Oh,
taught
yeah.
improv games and stuff.
Yes, I remember that.
That was such a weird week of just like
That
playing
was.
games with children. That was mostly babysitting, quite frankly,
Yeah.
but it was fun. It
Yeah.
was fun. Oh my gosh. Such good times with Katie Stone. Such good times.
Aw.
Um, so I guess going back to the beginning of things, and I think it's funny to be asking this to you because I've known you since you were so young, but how did you first get started in theater? Was it in middle
Um,
school or like earlier than that?
it was. Well, I will say in elementary school, I was in my I think I did technically 2 shows, but we did, like, a Charlie Brown play, and,
Oh.
which girl was
Oh, right,
it that I
because
played?
you transferred from, like, another district, yeah?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we lived in, like, Northern Indiana for a while, and then we moved down.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I think I was it was the one girl, I think it was, like, Patty, maybe,
yeah,
that I played her, and that was, like, that was technically my first show, but yeah, Little Mermaid was technically, like, the first time that I got into it, and I was like, I like to sing, and I love Little Mermaid, and I'll just do it," and then
yeah.
ugh.
It's those Disney shows that really that get them at
Mhm.
a young age, you know?
Yeah.
That's how you reel them into theater is with
Yep.
Disney. Um, so then I'm curious, what was, like, that overture or light bulb moment for you where you realized, like, "Oh, this is actually a thing that I, like, wanna do, like, for a career." Either
Mhm.
being, like, in theater or since you're majoring in music education as a teacher, either one.
I would say that I kind of throughout high school, I always was really like, I'd really like to keep doing this after high school, but I wouldn't
Mhm.
say that my moment was until my senior year of high school, actually.
Mm.
I started auditioning for colleges, or I started thinking about where I wanted to go for college, and I was like, I could keep doing this. And so I started auditioning to things and started looking at schools, and then I was kind of like, you know what? I love theater, I love music, can't really decide between the 2 of them. So that's why I decided music education because I was like, I can always
Mhm.
still be a part of theater and do theater.
Yeah.
So I think it was just helping in high school and doing so many things for the shows in high school that I was like, "Man, I love this, and I love
Yeah.
teaching too much not to, like, not keep doing it."
Well, that's such a wonderful thing to discover because I feel like sometimes it can go, like, another way. People think they wanna teach, and then they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, no, this is too much, I hate this." But, like, I
Mhm.
love that you kind of had that opposite experience where you're like, "Oh, I love theater, and I always wanna pursue this, but, like, wait, I actually have this passion for teaching."
Yeah,
Yeah, which is so fun and so cool.
it is.
So
Mhm.
in it's crazy to me looking back that when I graduated and left for school, you were just starting your high school career.
Mhm.
You literally had 4 full years ahead of you of schooling and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and I know what it did for me, but I'd love to hear from you how, like, our high school's, like, music and theater departments ended up helping you and encouraging you to grow as, like, an artist and teacher and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I I lost my train of thought. Oh, okay.
It's okay.
I basically did everything theater related or music related that was offered at our high school that I could.
Yeah.
There was musical theater courses, there was acting courses, um, any show that there was. It was actually you who told me, "Keep doing the plays, be in the plays, not just the musicals," and I'm so, so glad I did. Because I remember my senior year, I was like, "Wow, I am so glad I did this," because the acting never was really, like, my strong suit, it was always the singing, and
Mhm.
so doing just
Yeah.
the plays and, not focusing on the singing, I was like, "Yeah, I'm really glad I did that." I'm glad I did that now too, like, even taking my
Yeah.
acting courses in college, I'm like, "Glad I stuck with the plays."
Yeah, because like there's something to be said for the fact that like acting and singing really are two completely different muscles,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
like it can be hard to combine the two. So that's why it's nice to be able to like try just acting for a little bit and being
Mhm.
like, oh right, what happens when like I don't have the music to focus on? Like
Mhm.
this other
Yeah.
layer of it, it's stripping it down a little more, and you're like, oh, there's a bit more to this than I remember there being.
Yeah. And then I'd also say, Gretchen Brunner, she gave me every job under the sun that I could do in
Yes.
when I was there for those 4 years. I choreographed, I was assistant director, I was sort of a stage manager. I even played the voice of a girl one time who lost her voice, and I sat in the pit with a mic on, learned it was an Annie, learned her
Oh
part,
my god.
and it was fine. I even was, like, costume for a while, I was quick change queen. I mean, everything. I got, like, a full, like, around the world theater education just from all the dog shit
Yeah.
that we do.
And that's also amazing because I feel like a lot of people will enter like their theater departments and have like never touched a drill or like
Yeah.
don't understand how costumes works or things like
Mhm.
that. And so for you to get that at such an early age, even before you got to college, like that just helps you be such a more well-rounded like artist and like
Yeah.
teacher to begin with. And like I felt the same way having done like tech theater in high school because I
Mhm.
was in the tech theater class and like I loved that because that gave me a chance to understand what that other side of it was. So
Yeah, I loved
I
doing that.
definitely feel that from you. I'm like, yes, that makes sense for both of us. Um and so did your experience at Lincoln affect how you approach music and theater as well as teaching those subjects?
It did. Where did my brain go again?
I know both of our brains are just like fried today. And you know what? That's okay. That's
It's a
okay.
Wednesday.
It
That's
really is. It's
Wednesday.
halfway through the week.
Um, I would say that I definitely learned a lot of things to do and a lot of things that I've learned now that I'm like, "Oh, maybe that shouldn't have gone how it did a little bit."
Mm,
Which
yeah.
is always with any kind of like, especially with teaching, you learn
Yeah.
so many things from your teachers. But, I definitely think with the teaching, it has helped a lot, and it's really giving me a really good background, especially with music, that I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, yeah, this is how this worked there, and I really want to apply that in my future." There's a lot of things that I learned in high school that I'm still, like, actively
Using.
doing and thinking about now, that I definitely
Yeah.
think I'm like, "I need to keep doing this."
I'm curious, what are some of those things that you were like, "Oh, I still think about this now?"
Let's see. Um Oh, there's some stuff that we did in choir that I literally talked about this the other day, and I was like, "Yeah, this is how this should do." I've been in at the end of my of college, my 4 years, my
Mhm.
last, like, 2 semesters, I'm doing a lot of, like, the teaching classes, and,
Yeah.
I was in a choir, like, a teaching high school choir class, and we were talking about, fundraising, actually. Which
Yeah.
is I guess applies to theater too, that there was a lot of fundraising things that we did in high school that I'm like, "I am keeping those in my book. I'm gonna sell flowers. I'm gonna sell
Yeah.
chocolate bars and pizza." Yeah.
Look, those were the ones that actually sold things. Like,
Mhm.
especially, like, the mums fundraiser that we did with the flowers, like, people
Yeah.
would buy those every year, and it was something that people actually used, like, it wasn't just like, "Hey, buy this, like, little gadget that's gonna, like, break in 3 days from the moment you get it," and it's
Yeah.
like, those aren't great. Those aren't great. It's like your kids are there to like fundraise so that you have a department to give them things. You don't want to turn them into little salesmen. Like
Mhm.
it's it's finding that little balance for things for sure.
Yeah.
And so this may be a very silly question, seeing as you're getting a degree in music education, but do you want to teach post college or are you looking into other things? Or like what kind of setting would you want to be teaching in if you do?
Well, I'm actually playing between 2 different options.
Yeah.
I really am really, really so excited to go out and start teaching right away after I'm done, but I'm also, like, really heavily considering continuing school and,
Mm.
getting a degree in vocal performance.
Yeah.
Or musical theater, depending on what kind of program I find. Because I feel
Yeah.
like right now, vocally, I am at my peak. And if I
Mhm.
stop singing as like actively as I am now, that I feel like it's not gonna keep up as well. And so I'm like, you know
No, I
what? If
get
I want
that.
to do more, focus more on performance, because I feel like that'll benefit me when I go out into a classroom. I am assuming I am going to be directing and being a part of the theater department in whatever high
Yeah.
school or school I'm at. And I just know that having that background in performance is not only going to help me teaching music or teaching like voice lessons, but also in the theater. The
Yeah,
theater world.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The more experience you can have, like, in the field that you're teaching, like, the more you're gonna be able to bring and give to your students,
Mhm.
and that 100% makes sense. So, I'm
Yeah.
excited for both of those options for you. What kind of, like, level like wait, I'm skipping, like, 3 bullet points. I don't wanna, like, overstep my own question. I do have an Instagram question, so I wanna make sure to get that in there.
Okay.
This is from @Emily Brewer. How will Katie incorporate musical theater into her teaching? Does she anticipate directing? You're talking about directing a little bit, but
I do. I actually, if I am student teaching at the place that I hope I am, I already have the chance that I could help with the fall musical that they're doing at the school corporation that I want to go at. Um, I actually know Emily. She's one of my friends here at school.
I had a feeling.
She told me, she's like, I asked you a question. So I think one thing that I've noticed with being in choirs and in my music classes is, especially in choir, I know that I will incorporate musical theater into my teaching that way. I have an ensemble that we do a lot of like jazz musical theater charts,
Mhm.
and I know that I will heavily include that. And yes, I do anticipate directing. And if I don't, I will be sad, but I will.
You're like, "I please give me the hand in directing." You're like,
Please.
I want to put together these shows."
Yes.
And I was trying to gather, have you gotten to student teach yet, or is that something that's, like, about to happen?
That's about to happen. I'm in my last semester of
Mm.
classes. So next semester is going to be student teaching.
Oh, okay. I was,
Mhm.
like, trying to, like, wrap that into my brain, like, with
Yeah.
how many years is the program? Is it 4 years, or is
Well,
it, like
um,
well, I mean, I know obviously things like COVID and things
mhm.
of that nature can get in the way of things, so I wasn't sure where the trajectory has gone.
It's technically 3.5. If you do it
Mm,
correctly, you will have 3 years of classes and then 1 semester in your senior year of classes and then student teaching in the spring. But
right.
I added my theater minor my junior, no, the end of my sophomore year. And trying to fit that in all those classes, I added an extra semester because I definitely
Yes.
could have not done it in time.
Yep. And you were like, I need more time for this. There's no way
Yeah.
this is gonna work." But
Yeah.
that's gonna
I'm
be
really glad I
exciting,
did.
though.
Yeah.
And at least you'll be finishing classes with everyone else. You'll just have
Mhm.
that extra, like, semester to focus on teaching, and that'll be nice
Yeah.
because 'cause it'll be, like, in the fall, so you'll be kind of starting a new school year with these students that
Exactly.
are also starting a new school year, so that'll
Mhm.
be really fun. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
When do you find out, like, placement of, like, what school corporation and things like that?
I'm hoping soon.
You're like,
We
"Please
are
tell
kind
me."
of going through some, like, faculty changes, and so
Mm,
the, person who's supposed to be in charge, he learned how to do it last semester, so he's still kind of, like, making sure he knows how to do it and, like, getting it correctly. So, I know
yeah.
where I would like to go, and I hope I can go there, hopefully.
You're like, "Please, please, please, please."
Please.
Is it like the resources at the school that you particularly are, like, interested in, or is there something about that corporation that you're like, "Ooh, I really wanna work there?"
Well, it's the person I wanna student teach with. I don't know if you ever got to meet
That's
him,
fair.
Keegan Tucker?
That name is very familiar.
He
Was he in your y
choreographed he
Oh, Keegan. Oh my gosh.
Yes, yes.
As soon as you said choreographed, I was like, "Wait, that's familiar."
Mhm.
I think he choreographed
Um,
after I left, but
he
the
did.
name is incredibly familiar. Yeah.
Because he choreographed, I think the first time he did was when we did Mary Poppins my freshman year.
Oh,
And
gotcha,
I think that was the first one
gotcha.
he choreographed, if I remember correctly, because he was
That
there
would
the
be really
entire time.
awesome to be able to,
Yeah.
like, student teach with someone that you've worked with and, like, have learned from, because then you can have that connection already going into a classroom, and I can
Yeah.
imagine that that would be just so much more like, "Okay, I feel like a bit know where I'm doing a little bit more."
Yeah, and he has such a big theater background as well, and so I feel like
Yeah.
with him and I having that, like, we love theater, we love teaching music kind of in the middle, that I'm like, "Okay, great," because he also has, like, degrees that I would like to look into, like the vocal performance
Mm,
degree. I'm like, "I would
yeah.
love to talk to you about that," and, like, "Should I
Yes.
do that? Yes or no?" Kinda thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of music schools do this. Did you guys have to do you have to do juries at all in your program? So I'm
Mhm.
curious, what is that process like? I know a lot of people who majored in theater but not music truly don't know what juries are
Yeah.
and what that crazy process can consist of.
So, there's 2 different kinds of juries. Your first 2 years, it's like I don't know, like a preliminary jury because
Yes.
the semester going in between first semester and second semester of your sophomore year, you have to take a barrier jury. But juries are basically like you prepare 4 or 5 songs for the entire semester, and then you walk in front of the entire vocal faculty, which luckily now, like my jury last semester was like absolutely nothing because I'm like BFFs with all of those professors now, but you walk in there and you either you sing one that you would like to sing, so I always choose my hardest one so that they don't surprise me with it, and then they look at the
That's
list of your
fair.
remaining pieces, and then they pick either 1 or 2, like, before your barrier jury, they pick 1, and after barrier jury, they pick 2, and then you sing it, and then you're done.
Oh, so, like, it's you get to pick something off the list, but they also do too.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's nerve-wracking. It's kind of like a
Mhm.
picking out of a hat. You're like, "Hmm, which one will I be singing today?"
Yeah, and you can kind
That's
of read, like
crazy.
I have one professor that I will always know that she will pick my foreign language piece, and so I'm always like, "Okay, I kind of know what you guys are gonna pick back in the
Yeah.
back of my head," but, like, you can't assume, you have to have all of them
No.
prepared because they might
Yeah.
throw a random towel in there and say, "Sing this one."
And then you'd never want it to be the one that you prepared the least or
Yeah,
whatever be it.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you've been so busy at school. You've been constantly singing. So, like, obviously, lots of choir concerts. And I'm assuming a lot of these have a focus in like choral and classical, but you've also mentioned like jazz ensembles too.
Mhm.
So, very much varied in all the different genres there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then you've been in various concerts with like solos and duets too. Are these also part of vocal ensembles, or are these through like your voice studios and that kind of thing?
A lot of the solo performances I've done are, actually competitions.
Mm.
Well, one of them is a competition. So like specifically this year, we'll talk about last semester and this semester. In the fall, we have a contemporary music festival that my school hosts, and they always have a student recital. And you audition for it and you sing for it. And so you have to sing something that's like 30 years or younger, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, and you prepare it and you sing it, and then you can sing it in front of, like, if you have a composer that wrote a piece, and you can invite the composer to the festival if they want, and then they can watch you sing it, which is
That's
terrifying.
cool.
But last year,
Have you gotten to invite anyone?
I haven't. We,
Aw,
my boyfriend and I, he plays the trumpet, and we prepared a piece last semester, but we didn't make the audition. Sadly.
dang.
But my junior year, I sang a solo, and the guests. So we always have a big guest composer that comes, and the choir, like the choir or the ensemble, like the band ensembles, will prepare one of their pieces for them. So
Mm,
that's nerve wracking because we had a
yeah,
very very famous choir composer. His name is Jake Runestad. He was there last
okay.
year, and we sang like 2 or 3 pieces in front of him. It was terrifying, but it was so cool.
'Cause you're like, "Please don't be mad, please don't be mad, please don't be mad."
Yes. Please, please don't say that we're bad, please.
You're just like sitting there. And of course, I'm sure afterwards they're like, "Thank you, that was so cool,"
Yes.
and like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. They're always gonna be like so nice about it. But in the meantime, you're like, "Oh God, I'm so nervous. I
I
don't know."
know. Yeah. So I was
And I
able
have
to sing for that. And
mhm.
then there's also a concerto competition where we can sing like an aria from an opera,
Oh,
which
fun.
I sent you a video of
I'm like, I think that's a perfect
from
segue because
last
I
year's.
have it like prepped and ready to go. This is art is calling for me.
Mhm.
Amazing. Amazing. So we'll go ahead and watch the end of that. This is so much fun. Of course it buffers. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
That one just sounds like it's so much fun to sing. Like, oh my
It
goodness.
it is. I love that piece. Oh, it's so
And
fun.
was
It's
you got to like compete with that, right?
mhm. Yeah.
How'd
So
you do if you don't mind me asking?
well, I didn't win, but
Oh
I felt like I
no.
should have. No, it was really, really fun. I actually am gonna compete again this year, with another
Exciting.
aria that I have that is in German this year.
Ooh.
Yeah, scary,
When
but it's
when
really
will
fun.
that competition be?
It's in March.
Oh, nice, nice. So you have a little bit more time to like continue preparing it and all that good stuff.
Yeah, luckily though, the aria that I'm singing right now, I'm actually gonna perform this weekend. I have been asked again for the second time in a row to sing at the president's concert for the president of the university.
That's
Um,
exciting.
yeah, it's like the outstanding solo performance, like student performance. And I sang that piece, Art is Calling for Me last year, and then I'm gonna sing another aria this year in German.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
That's so
you.
fun and what a nice little honor.
I know, it's so nice.
Well, and you've even gotten to like sing the national anthem at like several basketball games. I remember you
Mhm.
doing it in like high school too, but like you've been doing them at like the ISU games now too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's been really cool. I
Does it
mean, it
does
that
it ever
place
get
is
any less
huge.
I was gonna say, does it get any less nerve-wracking?
Well, I sang at, graduation in December, and that was nerve-wracking. That is the most people I think I've ever sang the national anthem in front of, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh," and I didn't realize until I got up on the stage, and I, like just before I started singing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's people all the way up there."
Mhm.
It
You're
was
like,
so
"Oh, yeah,
fun.
this is fine," and then you actually step out and you're like, "Oh, no, this is bigger than I thought it was."
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, "Thank you." Oh my god. Couldn't even imagine how nerve-wracking that is because it's always a cappella too.
I
You never,
know,
like,
and
get to sing anything, like
no, and that's this like, literally, I will always say that that is the hardest piece for a singer ever.
Yeah,
National anthem,
yeah,
hardest song ever.
yeah, because you're never accompanied, ever.
Exactly, and it's
Like,
got this huge
maybe
range. You've gotta sing
yeah,
high
like,
and low at the same time. All the words are
it's
weird.
insane. It's
Yeah,
terrible. It's just let's get rid of it. Let's yeah.
yeah.
Let's choose a
New
different
national
one.
anthem. I'll write it.
Exactly, let's go. And then you've also been conducting, which makes sense for like a musical education student. But I know that it can really be a really big deal, and especially when you're conducting like an entire choir of people. So how did
Yeah.
you come about getting to do that?
So my voice teacher, she is great. Her name is Dr. Yana Weinstein. I call her Yana, but she is in charge of our women's choir that we have here. And it's pretty much tradition for her that she will ask anybody who she gets really close with by their senior year when we take our choral conducting course. And she'll just ask, like, you want to pick out a piece and conduct at the concert? And I was like, yeah. So I got to pick the piece, I got to rehearse, and I got to conduct it at the end.
That's so exciting. And we have a nice little clip of it here. So we'll go
Mm-hmm.
watch that as well. And of course, there's more to the song as well. But that gives you an idea of like, because you're not just conducting the choir in this case, but you're also conducting the trumpet player, your boyfriend, obviously. But like having to keep up with both of those, I'm sure is even just a little bit more challenging than just conducting the choir, for example.
Yeah, it is.
What's that like? Are you, like keeping the tempo of both of them at the same time and like cueing them? Is that what we saw there? What's the inside scoop as to what's happening there?
It was actually easier to keep him in tempo with me because he's a trumpet player, instrumentalist, a better rhythm, beat, whatever, choir singers, whatever. But he was actually easier to add in than like running the whole rehearsal with all of the singers that I had in there too, and just making sure that
That's
they were
fair.
keeping up with me and the pianist that was playing with us.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine, like, obviously the group that has more people, you're gonna want to focus on them a little bit more than the one
Yeah.
who just has the solos.
Yeah. I was like, Jordan, you got this. Like, do you need me to cue
You're
you? And
like,
he was like, no. I was like, okay, great. Start when
you're
you
like,
need
cool,
to.
have fun, bye. Like, you're
Bye.
like,
I'm
I
not going
trust
to look
you.
at you.
How did you get to choose like that piece in particular? Was it like, did it happen to be the one that like your boyfriend was a part of, or is there like a whole list of ones that you could like choose from? Like, how do you choose what like song?
Well, this was actually pretty funny because I really didn't have a choice. I did, but my voice teacher over the summer texted me and was like, "Hey, I found this really cool piece that has a trumpet in it. I think you should conduct this for women's choir." And I was like, "Okay," and I was like, "That sounds good." And then I picked it. I didn't even have a
She
list or
knew.
anything else. Yeah. Oh,
I
she
love
knows
that. She
me
was
way
like,
too well.
she's like, I have this one that's just perfect. And you're like, cool, sounds good. One less
Yep.
decision for me to have to make.
Yep. Good. I'll wave
I
my
love
arms.
that. I love it. I'll do the thing. It'll be fine. That's so fun. And while at school, you've been working really, really hard on like stage presence as well as your vocal abilities, twofold. Can you
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about this journey? Like, how have you been approaching working on both of them?
Yeah. So my voice teacher, she is incredible. We at the beginning of my freshman year, we kind of sat down and we had a chat about like what I have been doing, what I've been singing, and like what I sang at like solo and ensemble contest, and like
Yeah.
what my goals are. And so she kind of understood that I was like, I have a lot of musical theater in my background. I would love to do more theater, but I just didn't have the lower range for it. I kind of
Yeah.
still don't, but that was the first thing that we really worked on. And I mean, there was just one day I woke up and we like when we were doing my junior recital, and I was like, I can sing low now. This is great. This is so funny. But we worked on we she's just so good and I love learning from her so I can apply this to my own teaching. But we worked on that and then we were like, okay, great. We stretched your lower range, let's stretch your higher range. And then applying this to like my stage presence, she is like the perfect voice teacher for me because she memorizes pieces by her like blocking that she does on stage with the piece, which is just like, I do the same exact thing, like perfect. I cannot just stand here and like do nothing. Like I have to
Yeah.
be moving around. And
Yeah.
so definitely when I came to college, like my when I was in high school with like contests and solo and ensemble, I just didn't really know how to like present myself on stage and how to really perform pieces. And once I got to college, she kind of helped me like really focus on, okay, what does this piece mean? What are you thinking about? How do you think you should be feeling? Things like that. And so that really, really helped. And I mean, it helps with my performance. It helps me learn the piece. It helps everything.
Yeah, because I think back to, like, solo and ensemble contests that we would be a part of, and it's like, you walk in the room, you stand there, like, your arms are glued to your sides, you sing the
Yep.
song, and then you go, "Bye," and then you just, like, leave, and so often the songs are, like, in another language or, like, from,
Mhm.
like, the early 1900s, and you have no connection, you're just struggling so hard to, like, "Let me make sure I'm singing all the notes right and at the right volume," and
Yeah.
so, like, that's really hard to, like, perform with stage presence when you're
Mhm.
so on that. So, like, to be able to incorporate, like, "Oh, what is my body doing during this song?" Or, "What am I feeling?" You're like, "What? I have to feel things now?" So, like, I completely understand that, and I totally agree with you. Once you start understanding, like, what your body is doing and, like, what how you're feeling, it also ends up helping your vocal performance too.
Mhm.
Like, it helps you find new fun little areas in your voice that you didn't know existed, and you're like, "My voice
Yeah.
can do that?" Like,
Yeah.
you're like, What's that? I didn't know about that."
Mhm.
Like, me learning, kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, when I found out that I could belt, oh boy, my whole world changed. I was like, "That's a thing that I can do?" Like, because I on the other hand, I was told that I was an alto but couldn't belt. And yeah, which is very funny because now I'm a soprano and can belt. So, like, it's nice to be able to go into, like, college and find these voice teachers who are like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, like, world's the limit, like, let's
Yeah.
go find things and we'll explore it together." Like,
Mhm.
yeah. And also, I think that's awesome that you found a voice teacher that respected both the fact that you had the theater background and this appreciation for, like, choral classical music, because
Yeah.
I've had voice teachers who've told me, "Oh, it's the same technique, just use it." But
Oh,
especially with
it's
contemporary I know, with contemporary musical theaters, like, the styles and training are sometimes incredibly different.
Mhm.
So, I think it's awesome that you had a voice teacher who appreciated both, and from what it sounds like, helped you, like, apply different techniques based on what was happening in the song.
Yeah, I was definitely very nervous when I started college that I was like, I don't wanna turn into this classical opera singing singer. I would love to refine that side of my singing, but I was like, I love singing theater and I really wanna keep
Mhm.
doing that. And so that was something that, like, because there's been voice teachers before that even at this school that, not that they wouldn't let students sing musical theater, but it's like, let's focus on this, and then they never get to theater. She constantly made
Right.
sure that, like, every jury, I had a theater piece. I think last
Yeah.
semester was actually the first time I didn't have a theater piece on my jury, and that was okay.
Yeah.
But I she definitely
But
I'm really
yeah.
glad that she's helped me, like, both of these sides of my voice, that she's like, "Yes, we're gonna refine both of these really, really, really well and not just focus on one."
That makes my heart so happy, and I know that, like, I just know knowing you, like, you're gonna bring that with you wholeheartedly when you go and, like, start teaching others, and
Mhm.
that just makes me so excited and happy for you, and, like, as a nice little example of, like, what you can do with your voice now and things like that, I'm pulling a little clip from your voice recital, and I feel like I'm curious to see if you'll be surprised or not surprised by which song I'm choosing from it, so we'll
Okay.
just pull it up on screen to watch a little bit.
Oh, oh, I love this song.
I know, like, I'm stopping it right at the end of the song right there, but, like, getting to hear you do, like, the long note and getting to throw in some of those, like, fun little inflections in there, I'm like, I just know, I'm like, "Look, little baby Katie in high school would have, like, loved to have been able to do that, but you can do it
Oh,
now," and that's what's so exciting and so special, so, like,
mhm.
I know how much you love Waitress in particular, so I was like, I
Oh,
have
I
to
love
pull up that
Waitress.
clip. I know. Look, well, we can do it together. It'll be great. Like, look, I've sang some songs that Dawn sings. It's fine. Like we
And I
we
I
love the
sang
show.
that song because I saw you singing it. I was like, "I have to learn that."
You're like, I have to
Laura
learn
sang
this
it.
other one. I love it.
Yep, Laura sang it, I will sing
Put
it.
it put it in the book. Like we'll just have a shared vocal book. It'll be great.
Oh, oh, we good.
Oh my yeah, we'll just share it'll be perfect. We'll share sheet music. It'll be incredible, actually.
Yeah,
And I feel like this conversation also is a really great segue into talking about vocal health and its
mhm.
and its importance. And I would love to hear you talk about that because I know I've been taught so much about vocal health, but I'd love to hear like what you've learned and particularly working on both like classical and musical theater, what you've gained learning about all of that.
Yeah, I just took a vocal pedagogy class last semester, and we focused so heavily on vocal health. And honestly, that was something that I mean, I understood like how to prepare my voice before I sang, how to take care of my voice before I sang, but like we like delved so deep into vocal health, and I like didn't realize how much I was not taking care of
Yeah.
myself and my voice before that until I've recently, like, especially been singing a lot more, even since last semester, that I'm like, "Man, I know now."
Mhm.
Like, literally after we started the vocal health section of that class, I got some kind of mystery sickness that did not test on anything. I lost my voice for, like, a week and a half, and it was so hard coming back from that, and I was like, "I am so glad I took this class because I now know what to do and what not to do, and, like, how to warm up correctly so that my voice isn't screwed over whenever I'm starting to sing. And yeah, I've definitely since that class, it's been big about focusing on my vocal health and making sure that I'm using that correctly. And even with my teaching, like I've seen a lot on TikTok, TikTok. I've seen a lot on TikTok that a lot of the teachers there are really, really focusing on their vocal health, especially as teaching, and I never really thought about that. And even thinking about when I've taught at, like, those camps that we taught at, I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
sitting around here, like, yelling the entire time, and I'm like, that is not good for me. That is not good." So
No.
I'm really glad that I started focusing on that, and I'm very big about my vocal health, and I Tuesdays and Thursdays are big singing days for me, and so it's like I am not talking until I have to sing for the 3 hours that I have to sing, and then it is no more talking for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's taking
Yeah.
care of it and knowing your stamina for that day,
Mhm. Yeah.
especially, and I think that's so exciting because then you'll be able to bring that into the classroom and get kids to, like, know how to sing correctly and, like, taking care of their voice from a
Mhm.
much earlier age and,
Mhm.
like, not have to worry about something like that when they get to college and be like, "Oh, no, I've been messing it up this entire
Yeah.
time." Like, because
Yeah.
it's so hard to correct when you've
Mhm.
been doing it wrong for so long.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of effort. And so, like, applause to you for like taking that and being like, okay, I need to change this so that like I don't lose my voice and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've mentioned that you've gotten to do like a fair bit amount of like lyric theater work. And I know that term can be very like unknown to people who are just in the theater world and not in like the opera world as well. Can you
Mhm.
explain a little bit about what the difference between the two is?
So we have a lyric theater workshop, or we call it opera workshop.
Mhm.
Basically, what we do in there is we first start with a musical theater section. So this is my second time in this course, and I love it. I fought so hard. I almost couldn't be in it this semester, and I fought so hard. I was like, I have to be in lyric theater workshop because I just love it. I love the two professors
Yeah.
that teach the class. They're just amazing. So we first start with musical theater and we focus on that, and then we do a bigger show in April where we do scenes from opera. And those are always so much fun because it's like,
Yeah.
sure, I sing opera, I learn about opera, but like doing scenes and like acting out the opera is so, so much fun. I love doing that.
And I feel like you learn so much more about what opera actually like, it's
Yeah.
much funnier half the time than what people think. Like, sometimes it's just like, "What is this? This is ridiculous. This is so
Mhm.
much fun." So, like, I that makes me excited to hear that you guys, like, have that opportunity to play around with that. Because, like,
Yeah.
opera, a lot of people think are like, "Oh, I just stand here and sing." And it's like, well, no, there's actually, like, a lot more going into that.
Mhm.
Exactly. So, that sounds like that's a lot of fun. And
It really is.
I wanna make sure we talk about other things so too, so I'm, like, skipping a little bit. Obviously, you did Frog and Toad last year, and it
Yeah.
looked like it was such a special production for you
Mhm.
all. So what was that process like?
Well, this was my first my first show back since high school.
Yeah.
I auditioned for the we do a musical every other year in the spring. And so I had a chance to audition and I auditioned and somehow I got one of the leads and I was like, what is happening? Tears. I don't know. And it was like the first time that obviously the first time I had been in a show since high school and the first time I had been in such like a professional environment. So it was a big
Mhm.
learning curve for me because it's
Yeah.
very different than the high school productions that we had and
Yeah,
just the processes that they
absolutely.
have. Yeah, the processes that we have in this. And my director, Julie Dixon, she is great. I was a little hesitant about it being a children's show because I was like, it's about a frog and a toad and their friends. And so I was like, how do you do this? But Julie, at the time that I was in this musical, I was also in her acting class and just learning from her and acting from her was so cool because she's just a genius and she's just great. And being with we had such a small cast too. We only had 5 people
Oh,
and the other 4 girls, they are like ISU theater veterans, and then I was the one newbie, but they were just
yeah.
so great, and it was just so great getting to work with them, and, like, this was, like, my real introduction into my minor, and so, like, everyone was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, hey, you're that girl who just added the minor," and they're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Hey, I'm Toad." It was so much fun. I just loved the process, and it was really just like, professionalism of the show was my favorite part.
Yeah, I think once you, like, quote, unquote, "upgrade" from, like, a high school to, like, a college setting and understand, "Oh, this is what it's like for, like, the people who do this for work, this is
Mhm.
what a work setting is like." Where it's like the
Yeah.
stage manager is running the room and all this other stuff. You're not used to that by any means in high school and, like,
No.
understanding, like, "Oh, we are all getting this done together." It's
Yeah.
huge. It's such a huge
Mhm.
learning curve, and I think it's so important that you get to, like, have an experience like that where you're working in a room with other professionals.
Mhm.
And also, you were nominated for the Indianapolis Broadway World Awards. Was that for Frog and
Yeah,
Toad?
it was.
That's
Um,
incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you. Both Frog and I, the girl who played Frog, were nominated. Actually, everybody in the show who worked on the show in any aspect, like lighting design, scenic design, um, our musical director and our director, they were all nominated for different awards in this. And actually, our musical director won the award,
Oh,
which he didn't know this. And
that's
I
so
told him
exciting.
yesterday, I was like, Dr. Carlisle, you know you won, right? And he's like, oh, no, I had no idea. Great.
Just so casual about it, and you're like, "Okay,
I
well."
know. I'm like, you won.
You're like, "That's an exciting thing," and he's like, I guess."
Yeah, but it was so cool getting to know that I was nominated for that because like the Frog and Toad was such a success. Like the other day, our lighting design, um, he came up to me and he was like, "That was just like I Frog and Toad was like the best show we put on here at ISU in like a long time." And I was like,
Oh.
"Michael, don't say that to me." And then I was nominated and I was like, "Oh my god."
Well, and how special that, like, you got the chance to, like, sneak in there and be a part of it at that time
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Like, that's that's an awesome one to bring with you in your heart and all that good stuff. And seeing as you're a senior, you're planning a senior vocal recital this semester. This is crazy to me. How is the planning going? How's that all coming along?
Well, it's great. The same as my junior recital. When I plan for a recital, I can kind of cheat the system and pick songs that I've sang before, and then that's less practicing that I have to do. So a
That's
lot
true.
of the pieces that I'm bringing back again, I've done throughout my time here at ISU. So it's just kind of like relearning everything. And it is
Yeah.
a joint split recital with my
Yes.
boyfriend who plays the trumpet, and which that's really cool because we found several pieces that we can play together. Either classically or jazz that we can play and
Ooh.
sing together. And he does a little singing as well. So we
Hey,
plan
good
on
for him.
possibly singing at the end.
That's exciting. That's fun. And that's
Yeah.
awesome that you guys like get to collaborate and like you're like, "Oh, we actually can do more songs together than
Hmm.
just like separately working on your own." And I
Yeah.
that totally makes sense with the jazz section parts of it too. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yes, absolutely." Like that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And at least this isn't your like first huge recital. Obviously, you
Hmm.
had your huge junior recital last year, which was all musical theater based. So I'm sure that's really nice to be like, okay, cool. I did that all on my own. That one was big. It was all me. But now I can like do this with someone else and we can plan it together. It's
Yeah.
almost seems like maybe like a little bit less stress question mark, but
Yeah.
at the
It
same time it
is.
is your senior recital. So
Hmm.
do you have any idea of when this recital will be?
It'll be on April 30th.
Ooh,
That's a
exciting.
Sunday. I think I will have it live streamed on Facebook.
Hey, there we go. So if your friend was Katie Stone on Facebook, tune in. It'll be live and ready for you. I love that. And then it like I know you'll be teaching that next semester after this
Mhm.
one, but will it be graduation? Will you get to graduate like in the spring and then finish your student teaching, or do you have to graduate like after you finish your student teaching?
I will graduate after I student teach. So I'll
Gotcha. So
graduate
you'll
in
be doing
December.
a nice little winter graduation.
Yep.
And obviously you have different possibilities of what you might be doing post graduation. So I'm wishing you the best of luck in figuring out what you want to do. And luckily, you have the time, you have the student teaching, and crossing
Mhm.
fingers, you'll be placed where you want to be so that you can chat it up and see what path you might take. But I'm
Yeah.
so excited for you, and it's been so amazing to see how much you've grown and all this crazy stuff. We were saying before we went live, the last time we saw each other was when I was still in college and Katie was still in high school. Like
Mhm.
I think it was like like a sophomore year choir concert. Like I think that was the
Yeah,
last
I
time I
think it
saw you,
was. I think you're right.
which is crazy. Crazy to me. Ugh, absolute insanity. What we're getting old and I don't like it. It's weird.
I don't either.
But you know what? We're making it, and I'm so glad we've continued to keep this connection. And excuse all my lovey-dovey stuff here at the end of this episode, but I'm like, this one's a sweet one. Dang it! Like,
Aw.
it's been so awesome to catch up and hear what you're doing and all that amazing stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so coming to the end of the episode, where can people find you on social media and that kind of thing?
I am on about every social media. Most of the time, my performing things are put on my
Mhm.
Facebook, which is just Katie Stone. I don't even know what my Instagram handle is.
Like I can pull it up. I know it's like Caitlin with two A's.
Oh, yes, it's Caitlin with two A's, Caitlin Stone with two A's.
Of course I'll put all the links into the description below
Mhm.
after this stream. So you'll be able to find it and follow Katie on Instagram. Is it the same name for your TikTok as well?
I don't think so.
Oh, we're getting
I don't know.
getting unique here.
No, TikTok is Katie Stone 10.
Ooh, okay.
I have
Well,
some
we'll make sure
entertaining
to
TikToks on there.
I'll have to put the link below so people can follow you on TikTok too. We'll make you TikTok viral. It'll be great.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, good.
Amazing. And then you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Lora_Marjoram and my website, www.lauramarjoram.com. You can find this lovely show, Overtures, on Instagram at Overtures Show. That's where I post all the updates, all the bios, submit questions, all that good stuff. That's where the bulk of the information goes. You can obviously watch live and say hello live on YouTube and watch old episodes. So just search Overtures Show. We're also on Spotify and Apple Music, and this will become a podcast episode later down the line. So go check that out. You can listen on the go. And then we also have a Ko-Fi page. So if you feel so obligated to send a donation and buy us a coffee, help keep this show running, and so I can talk to more talented guests like Katie. My next stream will be on Monday, February 13th at 7 p.m. with Stacey Marie Kiba. I'm so excited. Another person that it's been a very long time since I've caught up with them. We worked summer camp together. That's going to be exciting. And now she's like off doing French films. So,
Wow.
life takes us crazy places, and I'm so excited to catch up. But yeah, Katie, do you have any final thoughts for viewers live and in the future?
I don't think I have anything.
That's okay. We're allowed to. You and I have both been brain dead this evening, so go take care of yourselves. Go drink some water. We'll do the thing.
Yes.
We will
Don't
get through this.
scream. Don't scream. Take
Yes.
care of your voice.
There we go. Perfect. We got it done. Take care of that voice. And with that, I hope everyone has an amazing night, and we will see you later. So, bye.